Hi, it's Dot from dotstrot.com, and today I'm making pork belly, but not any pork belly. I'm making Gordon Ramsay's slow roasted pork belly with my own little twist on it, using extra virgin coconut oil to make it a little bit more fatty. Strangely enough, it is pork belly, but you know, I love adding extra fat, healthy fats, I should say, and also some onions. Right now, I'm cutting up my pork belly, but what I'm going to do is, through the magic of time travel, we're going to show you how I actually put this puppy together, and it is delicious. All right, before I start working on the star of this dish, which is the pork belly, of course, I thought I'd show you what ingredients are going to go into it to really add a lot of flavor. And what I love about this dish is there's ingredients I've never used before, but I was always curious about, and those are sort of up on a chopping board. But what I've got right now is I've got some whole grain mustard. I have 6 cloves of garlic. Don't worry about the quantities. I've got double the amount of meat because this is going to last us for a few days. So I'll have the quantities below the video. But I have garlic, and I smashed the garlic just a little bit with my knife already. So they're a little smushed, but that's okay. I've got 4 tablespoons of extra virgin coconut oil. This is going to be really, really important. Not only am I going to saute this, the onions and the fennel bulb in my pan, I'm also going to rub half of it on the pork belly itself. It's going to be so tasty. Like I said, I'm just using a small onion. I've already went ahead and chopped it up. I've got some bone broth. I only had about 2 cups of bone broth, which the real recipe calls for. If I need any more, I'll just go ahead and add some water since I'm out of it. I'm also adding Chardonnay to it, and I love these little bottles you can now get at the grocery store. The taste doesn't matter so much because I'm not going to drink it, but this is all going to go in, and I'm going to cook it so that the alcohol evaporates out. So it's to help deglaze the pan. Wonderful. Like I said, I mentioned my fennel bulb that I'm going to be using. I've already gone ahead and snipped off parts of it to sort of clean it in the end right here. I'm going to coarsely chop this puppy up. Now the 3 stars, I also have coarse sea salt and of course black pepper. But the 3 things I love, I've always wanted to use fennel seeds a little bit more. This dish really does it. And wow, does it add a lot of great flavor. Obviously, I'm using a fennel bulb too, so you're going to have a lot of that great flavor with there. First time I'm actually using cardamom pods, as they're called. And I'm just going to go ahead and hold these up to the little camera. They're just little pods, and what I'm going to do is actually crack these over in my mortar and pestle over there. But these add nice little wonderful flavor. But the things I really love using is the star anise. And the nice thing about the star anise is that they have a wonderful licorice scent to them. So if you can't find these, I had to go to 3 Asian grocery stores. 2 of them were completely out of them, and of course it's the last place you look, but they have them typically at an Asian grocery store. One of the stores that also carries this on occasion too is Whole Foods, depending where you're located at. And nice thing about Whole Foods, you can get the exact quantity you want. I ended up with a really big bag, which isn't a bad thing because I'm definitely going to use these more often than not. But like I said, I just love the licorice scent to it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start getting the fennel bulb ready. So I'm just going to coarsely chop this puppy. I got to get my, see how wiggly that is? That's not safe. So I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to put a little paper towel underneath my chopping board to make sure it sticks. But I'm going to go ahead and get the fennel bulb ready now. Okay, I cleared out my area. I got my chopping board all safe. It's not moving around, so I put a paper towel underneath it. I got my little bowl out for the fennel bulb. And all I'm going to do is, again, I'm just going to coarsely chop this puppy. So I'm going to start down here, and I am using the whole thing. Yay! So I've got that. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to half these. So I'm going to get these off here, and let me break this apart a little bit. But basically, the whole bulb goes in. It's that simple. You use the whole thing. I'm going to cut this in half. There we go. And now everything is going to be all set, ready to go. Now, this recipe, because I'm doubling it, I should have used 2 fennel bulbs. I didn't. I decided I'm adding in an onion, so it's a little bit of a variation on the actual Gordon Ramsay dish, just like the extra virgin coconut oil I'm using. He looks for olive oil, and he doesn't specify how much. I'm doing it a little bit different because I want to add a little bit more fat, strangely enough, to a pork belly. But I figured it's the way I'm going to be cooking it. It might add a little bit of a coconut flavor to it, so I think it's going to be pretty good. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to clean my little area off, and I'm going to get ready for that pork belly. Yum. All right, the pork belly is on the cutting board. I got my gloves on to keep my hands clean, also to keep the pork clean since I cut my little finger the other day. What I've got here is I have 4 pounds. Like I said, I want it to make a little bit extra. I will say this, when you're buying your pork belly, it's a really cheap cut of meat that's very tasty, so it is economical. But what you want to do is when you're at your butcher, these were the only slices left when I went there. So I really wanted to make this dish, so I got it. If you notice, this one, this smaller piece, which is a pound, this one has the skin cap and fat underneath it still on it. You can see the layer of fat, and there's the meat, and the skin is on it. So that's what you want to cover the whole thing. That didn't happen with this one. It's over here a little bit and in pockets, but that's okay. It's still going to come out tasty. I'm going to get that out of the way because what I'm going to do is I'm going to score the piece of meat. So all I'm going to do is, now you could just simply cut it straight down, and what you want to do is just you want to make sure you pierce the fat all the way. So I'm just going to do that, and I'll show you. I'm not very good at it. I'm still working on doing it. I didn't get deep enough. Don't worry if you nick the meat a little bit, but the idea is you want to just flick it. You just want to flick it down. It's a little tough, but if you can see that, I'll put this up here, what you can see is that I cut through the fat. And that's what you want because we're going to season this puppy. So I'm just flicking it through, and I'm just going to score it long ways. In the Gordon Ramsay video, he does these wonderful, beautiful diamond cuts, but he's been doing that for an awfully long time. I'm not that fancy yet, but so I'm just going to go ahead and score my meat, basically is what I'm doing. And we'll come back when I've got all of the meat scored, and we'll then start seasoning it. All right, my meat is scored, and if you look at the big piece, I only scored what I could score base because, you know, it didn't have the skin cap, the whole fat cap on here. But on this one, I got a little fancy, so I guess I'm a pound fancy. And you can see how it's just these little, I did squares instead of diamonds. I sort of could have done it at more of an angle, but you can see how I cut down to the meat through the skin and the fat cap. And that's what you want. You want that seasoning to get down in there. So all these little lines I have, and some of them are more pronounced than others, again, because of how the fat is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to season these both sides with salt and pepper. So I'm going to get going on that. And basically I'm using a coarse sea salt, and I'm just going to go ahead and just put it on like that on both of them. Just, you sort of want to go high up, because if it goes high up, you have a bigger, I guess, spray instead of like being in one area. So it just sort of moves easier that way. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pepper, a lot of pepper, because I love pepper, but I'm going to just go ahead. And you want to be generous because it is going to come off because of the fat. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rub it on here and really get in there. Now I'm also going to add a little bit of I've got my coconut oil melting on the stove. I put it on heat, and then I took it off heat so it can cool down, so I'll be able to touch it. And so you're just going to rub that in. And again, you want to get into the little areas too. So, boo, 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 where I can. Then you're going to flip it over, and you're going to do it again. You're not going to score anything, but you are going to salt and pepper it. And I'm going to do this one more time, but after I put on the coconut oil. So I did that. What I'm going to do is go ahead and get the coconut oil ready. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of it to put on the meat, and then the other 2 tablespoons are going to go into my my roasting dish to basically get that all set to go so the onions and fennel don't stick too much. So let me go ahead and get the coconut oil. All right, this is my little deviation from recipe. I've got some coconut oil, and again, like I said, it's about 2 tablespoons. And I'm just going to rub it on the meat. Like I said, on both sides. It's very important for just some wonderful flavor, and add it fat. And again, you're probably thinking, added fat to something like pork belly? Yes. So I got that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it with my hand that is not wet, and I'm just gonna go ahead and season it a little bit, because again, some of it came off, a lot of it came off on my glove. Okay, there. So this puppy is ready to go into the pan, but I gotta prepare my pan ahead of time. So I'm gonna do that now. All right, I got my oven preheated. This is a convection oven, so while I set it for 350, it automatically cuts off 25 degrees because it cooks a little faster. But for your oven at home, it'll be 350 if you have just a regular old oven. I'm going to actually start this dish on the stove top. So the nice thing about this stove that I have is that it includes a griddle burner. So we're going to actually start this dish on the burner. I have my remaining coconut oil. It's already starting to melt thanks from the heat from the oven. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to heat it up, and we're going to turn it on low and just go ahead and start heating this up, getting it melted, and we're going to spread it around there. And actually, I'm going to add the remaining grease that I had, or coconut oil, I should say, from when I was rubbing it on the pork. But before I get to that, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take my mortar and pestle, and I'm going to take the cardamom pods. You just want to crack them slightly to release the flavor and into the dish. So that's really, really important. So you can hear them cracking like that, and that's all I'm going to do. You can see them, see, little cracks. That's all you want. That's exactly what I want to see. So I have a few of them that are cracked. I'm going to make sure that they are all cracked. Ooh, I love the cracking sound. There we go. They're all cracked. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a few of the fennel seeds, and I'm going to just crack a few of those open. Not all of them, just a few. I'm going to sprinkle the remaining on top of the pork, just to add more flavor. So I'm not making a powder. I'm just cracking some of these open. Again, to let the flavor out. And I'm going to go ahead and leave these in here for now. And then these, I'm not going to crack them open, but what I'm going to do is simply add them to the top of the pork. So I'm going to go back over here. It is cooking. It is still melting. And then once the oil gets hot enough, I'm going to turn it up now since I can pay attention to it. I'm turning it on to a medium heat, actually medium high heat. I can pay attention to it, but once it starts sizzling, then what I'm going to do is start adding in my fennel. I'm going to add in my onion, all of my seasonings, including my star anise, which I absolutely love. And then what we're going to do is we're going to let that get hot, and then I'm going to go ahead and add in the pork, and we're going to brown the fat on top first for about 5 minutes. All right, my pan is definitely hot. I'm gonna go ahead and start adding in the ingredients. There goes the onion. I'm gonna swirl that around a little bit. Now, my pan is brand new, and it's wonderful, and I love it, but it is big because we like doing big, big turkeys for Thanksgiving. So I put in both the onion and the fennel bulb. Just go ahead and put that all in the oil and let that get heat up. The next thing I'm going to add is go ahead and put in my cardamom pods, my star anise, garlic, and we're just going to go ahead and let that go. Oh, and also the other thing I almost forgot, we're going to add from my pestle, mortar and pestle, is the fennel seeds that I've cracked open a little bit. So I'll put that in there. Oh, it smells so good. Just the seasoning alone smells wonderful. So I'm going to heat this up, move things around. Then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to just go ahead and let this cook for a little bit, get softened. We're not ready to put the pork in. We're almost ready. I'm going to go ahead. You can start seeing the coconut oil. See? Already starting to get a little bit hard, but that's all right. I'm going to add some of the regular fennel seeds onto here, and just sort of, I want them sort of in the cracks. Again, just for flavor. I'm not going to rub them in because of the, I don't want to rub off the coconut oil, but these will start popping out. So I just want these on here. And then I'm going to actually go ahead, just throw these all in here, because why not? I'll waste them otherwise since I touched the pork. So I might as well use them. Can't go wrong. The recipe calls for it, so it'll be just fine. I'm clearing out space. This is the tough part, is I'm going to put the pork in. I'm going to turn that up a little bit higher temperature. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the pork in, because we're going to sear this for about 5 minutes. But I really want this hot, because if I don't hear the sizzle, I'm going to take it off. Ah, there's some sizzling. Not as much as I want, but that's okay. And then I'm going to add this piece of pork too. So we just want to make sure this is touching the bottom of the pan. So I'm going to leave this on for about 5 minutes and just go ahead and, I'll actually leave that off for right now. This is just going to go ahead and sear. Like I said, for 5 minutes, I want to get a nice little color on there as this is going. And then what I'm going to do when we come back, hopefully it's all been within 5 minutes. I'll get a nice brown coloring. I'm going to flip it. Then I'm going to start adding in my liquids. All right, it's been 5 minutes. I'm getting ready to flip my meat over. And if you notice, I've got all the little bits of the onion and fennel and all of the seasonings off to the sides. I don't really want them, I don't want them underneath the meat yet. And the reason why is simply because I'm trying to brown my, oh, this is a heavy piece. Let me get underneath here. I'm trying to brown this cut of meat. Ooh, so that's perfect. That's what you want. You want that fat on top. I'm going to flip this piece. It looks absolutely beautiful. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start getting this. Now, frankly, I don't mind if it sits on top of it. It's more flavor now. So you just got to be careful. You don't want it to get too high. But these low ends, and I'll show you what's important when you're cooking this piece. I'm going to go ahead right now, and I'm going to go and add my wine. And what you want to do when you're adding the wine, as I'm doing here, I'm going around the sides. I do not want to get the top wet. That's really, really important. You want that fat to stay dry, because that is, you want this to get really, really super crispy. What you're essentially doing with the wine, and also when I start adding in the stock, is you're going to braise the meat, but the top, the fat, is going to stay dry, and it's going to get super crispy and just taste delicious. What I'm doing now, I'm going to turn this up a little bit. I'm cooking off the alcohol, but I'm adding the wine for flavor. But the idea is I'm going to let it boil for a bit. It's going to deglaze the pan, and I'm just getting all the alcohol out as I'm cooking this right now. So we're going to come back in a few minutes, and I'll start adding the broth in. All right, as you can see, I said a few minutes, but actually it's only been about 30 seconds. That's usually how long it takes to evaporate the alcohol out of wine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and add my broth. Again, I want to be careful not to get the tops wet. But here's what I'm doing. I'm probably going to add a little bit of water to this, since it's a real fatty cut of meat right there. What I want to do is I want to bring, if you can see right here, the white, the fat part is right there. And it sort of goes a little bit up here. But I want this, I want the meat covered, because again, I'm going to braise the meat, and I'm going to make this extra crispy. Now, what I'm going to probably do on this piece, it's a little bit, this, as I said, this piece is a little bit more even. I got to do a little bit of work here, but I'm probably going to have this a little bit submerged, because that is the meat. It's not fat. And then here, I'm probably going to bump some of the veggies underneath here, because see, that's already touching the liquid, and I don't want that. Again, this one will be done perfectly. This one, as well as I can get it, considering I don't have it completely covered in fat, but I want to make sure I try to get close to submerging a bit of this. If I can't, that's fine, but you know, you submerge the meat so that you just basically braise it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and fill up my cup, add some water to here, and then the kicker is when I add it, this is all has to be boiling. You want it hot before it goes into the oven. That's really important. So I'm going to go ahead, add the water, and then get this boiling, and it's going to go in the oven. For the oven, so you can see, I've got my racks down low. It's going to stay in the oven down low for about 2.5 hours once I get it in there. Again, I'm cooking it, it's a slow roast. So 2.5 hours should be more than enough time. You want the meat to be so tender and then the top of it really, really hard. So that's what I'm aiming for. So let me go ahead and add some water, and then we'll go ahead and pop it in the oven. Okay, I'm adding water. Now I will say this is hot. This is why the metal pan is far superior than the glass pan. You never want to add cold water into a hot glass pan, because I know there's a lot of pans you can use to cook with in the oven. You want to make sure, as no matter what the instruction says, I don't care what they say, you just don't want to do that. There's a whole lot of stories of Pyrex specifically exploding in ovens, so you never want to have that situation with you. So when you're adding water, you want to make sure, if you're using a glass pan, make sure the water is warm if you're going to be doing that. That's my little safety tip. So I'm going to go ahead and add my water now. I'm going to add a little bit more, and then once I do that, it's going to go in the oven once this starts boiling all over. So 2.5 hours, I should have some awesome, awesome pork belly ready to go. All right, the pork belly is out of the oven. I have it resting. You let it rest for about 10 minutes. But what I'm doing right now on the stovetop, I'm back to the griddle. And what I'm going to do over here is I'm cooking off some of the excess liquid. If you remember, I added a lot more water than I wanted to. I'd rather had broth, but I added water because I had to submerge both pieces. I'm cooking off a little bit of the water right now, the excess, but I'm going to go ahead and add in my whole grain mustard to it, because what I'm making is a gravy. So come on over here, we're going to start making this. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and put it in and stir it in there. Again, it's for added wonderful flavor. You can see the color already sort of changing thanks to the mustard. Now what I'm going to do in just a little bit, I'm going to fish out the star anise and those cardamom pods as well. I'm actually drooling a little. I'm going to take those out, and what you're going to make out of this is you're then going to let this sit for a little bit. Once you cook it down, it becomes a gravy. And the fat, because I've been stirring this up, what I'm going to do is let it rest. The fat's going to start coming to the top of the gravy. And what you do is you basically just defat your gravy. And there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. Gordon Ramsay has a really cool way, but unfortunately I can't do it because I don't have bread. But you literally just take a slice of bread and just slowly go across the top, flip it, and go across the top the other way down, and that cuts your fat out of it. But what he advises is, if you do eat bread, it's the best tasting bread if you fry it up you will ever have, because of the bacon. I mean, the pork belly, which bacon comes from. So anyway, what I'm going to do is let this cook off a little bit more. Then I'm going to go ahead and fish out the pods. But right now, and this should all be done by the time I'm ready to carve up my pork belly. Sauce is done. I went ahead and plated this for my wonderful husband. It smells delicious, and we can't wait to dig in. This is our dinner today. It's also going to be lunch, and for the next few days as well, as we have quite a bit of pork. But it's real easy to make, real simple, and it's a great cut of meat. It's low-cost cut of meat. I paid a little bit more for this because I went with pork that is grass-fed, organic meat. That's just important to me right now, but you certainly don't have to do that. It's what's affordable for your family, but this is a great cut of meat. If you enjoyed the video and all the low-carb cooking I'm doing here, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and share with your friends. And until next time, I'll see you.